Good morning, good morning, good morning, and guess who it is? Your host of the party, Kenny Polcari, and it is my pleasure to be with you today. It is Wednesday, September 29th. There's one more day in the quarter. Tomorrow's going to be the final day. Expect lots of volatility as we end the quarter. Portfolio managers, try to dress up their portfolio to make it look the best it can for their reporting season for when you start to receive your quarter end statements in the mail in a couple of weeks. But let's just talk about what happened yesterday. What's going on today? Oh my God, stocks got clobbered yesterday. Unbelievable the way NASDAQ and the tech names really came under pressure. But it was rising rates that sent shivers through the financial markets yesterday. Not the debt ceiling, and we'll talk about that. Tech got clobbered, like I said, creating new opportunities for some of the blue chip tech names, right? Oil continues to surge on worries over supply chain issues as well as rising demand. Renewables are great, but the need for fossil fuel isn't going away anytime soon. So don't go throwing out your energy names. 10-year treasury yields are now up 20% in 7 days. The VIX is up 39% in 3 days. And what do we have for dinner tonight? We're going to have the chicken fricassee, because that's what it feels like, right? Anyway, we'll get to that at the end. Tech got slammed yesterday. XLK, the S&P ETF, down 3%, while some of the individual names got clobbered even more. Microsoft down 3.8%, Apple down 3%, Facebook down 3.6%, ARK, the tech disruptor, down 4.2%. Right? That's managed by Cathie Woods, and it includes disruptive names like Teladoc down 3.4%, Roku down 3.3%, Zoom down 4%, and the list goes on. Micron fell 2.7% by the end of the day, and then fell another 3.8% after hours last night when they reported forward guidance that was at best lackluster, a sign that booming demand for their semiconductors might be waning, which is a whole nother conversation. NASDAQ falling by 425 points or 2.8%. The Dow down 570 or 1.6%. The S&P lost 90 or 2%. The Russell down 51 points or 2.2%. And the transports gave back 150 points or 1%. It was an ugly day for sure for everyone but energy. The XLE up 0.3%, which if you read my note yesterday, you would have known. North Sea Brent crude pierced $80 a barrel overnight in Europe on supply chain concerns, while West Texas Intermediate traded up and through $76 a barrel here in the United States. And while it was ugly, it was not an all throw everything out the window kind of a day, right? And again, if you're surprised, I'm going to ask why. Why are you surprised that we're having this volatility? Now, the media is going to have you believe that it was all about the debt ceiling, to which I'd say, give me a break. The debt ceiling, is that the best you can come up with? The debt ceiling, really? Look, I've been telling you for a long time now that the debt ceiling crisis is nothing but a man-made political crisis. It means nothing at all to the financial markets. And why? Because nobody is going to let the U.S. government default on its debt. No one, period. So get off that horse right now. That is nothing but baloney. And what's even true is even Snow White, also known as Janet Yellen, she created more havoc yesterday by telling Capitol Hill that a failure to raise the debt ceiling would have catastrophic consequences. Oh my God. Now, she would have been more effective if she just said something like this. Look, a failure to raise the debt ceiling would be idiotic. So smarten up and cut the baloney and just raise the damn thing, right? That's what she should have said. But instead she uses inflammatory words, disastrous and catastrophic, only adding to the angst for what reason? Nothing. Never mind that the government has enough funds, by the way, to run through at least October 18th before the till is dry. So in reality, Thursday means absolutely nothing. Tomorrow means nothing. We've got another 3 weeks before you can light the place on fire. So stop the hysteria, because it's exhausting. Now, we all know that the debt ceiling is going up. We know it. So why the histrionics? Because the Democrats don't want to take the blame singularly. They want this to be a bipartisan vote. Suddenly they want to work with Republicans and make it a bipartisan vote. All while they could raise it right now if they wanted to. They don't need any help from the Republicans. So they could stop the hysteria and just raise it. But they need to put on a show so that the country sees how hard they're working. Oh my God, look at us. We'll pat ourselves on the back after we do this. And then to add to the negativity, as if we needed more, Senator Warren explicitly voicing her concern and position on Fed Chair Jay Powell, calling him a dangerous man. And again, while most of this means nothing to the long-term prices, it's a dramatic headline by an elected official during an anxious time. that causes the algos to hyperventilate, sending stocks into another round of selling. But therein lies the opportunity for the long-term kind of stable buyer. Now, why do you really think stocks came under pressure yesterday? Really? Because it's not the debt ceiling. It's because the 10-year Treasury rate spiked higher, ending the day yielding 1.537%, when just last week they were yielding 1.31%. That's a 20% increase in yields in just 7 days, suggesting two things: that inflation is no longer transitory, and that the economy should be doing better. But that, in fact, inflation is taking root in the economy and will continue to take root, forcing the Fed to have to act sooner rather than later in terms of rate hikes. So now think mid-2022 versus end of 2022. And that's going to be an issue for the U.S. government as well, because as rates go up, so does the obligation of the U.S. government to pay back all this debt through bond offerings that will have to offer higher and higher rates. In addition, it's going to serve to eat away at the economic expansion, resulting in what could be stagflation, which is persistent high inflation combined with high unemployment and stagnant demand for the economy. Okay, but I know what you're going to say. Unemployment isn't high. That's right. Right now it is not. But if the economy goes off the edge again, unemployment's going to shoot up. And then we're going to be back to the late 70s style economy, when inflation in 1979 was 13.3%, Fed funds rate was 11.2, on its way to 20, and unemployment was 7%, on its way to 10.8% by 1982. So you just keep telling yourself that it can't happen, because I'm telling you, and the rest of the baby boom generation will tell you it can. This morning, the bulls are back in control, taking advantage of all the weakness created by the hysteria yesterday. U.S. futures are pointing up. Dow's up 182, S&P's up 30, Nasdaq's up 130, the Russell's adding 16 points. And what is this snapback rally after the beating stocks took yesterday, especially the tech sector? So look for that to rebound as well today, right? Look, the volatility yesterday is no reason to run for the hills and redesign your whole portfolio at all. Unless, of course, you don't have a theme to your portfolio and it's all over the place. Then maybe I'd say, okay, maybe you do need to throw it all out. But because it would be time to clean house. But if that's not the case, then sit back. Buy some downside protection. You can easily do that with the VIXI or SH. There are just two ways that the average investor can buy some protection. There's also a range of other ways, some more complex as well. But you take your choice. I'm just saying, the selling is not a reason to blow up your portfolio. There's not a one-size-fits-all plan, not at all. It's all very intimate and personal. So make sure you understand who you are, where you fit on the risk scale, time scale, obligation scale, retirement goal scale. All that stuff is going to play into how you design your portfolio. A 30-year-old is going to be very different than a 60-year-old. 10-year Treasury yields, which created all the hysteria yesterday, are backing off a bit, yielding this morning 1.49% as the sun prepares to rise over the Atlantic. In any event, rates are set to rise, and we know that. And we should all expect some volatility as they do. The faster they rise, though, is going to create more volatility, right? So don't get caught up in the hysteria. Understand the implications of why the market reacts, why it does, the way it does, how it does, the pace and speed at which it does, all depends on all these interconnected pieces. The VIX, the fear index, which shot up 24% alone yesterday, ended the day at 23.27. That's up 39% in 3 days. As of 6 o'clock this morning, they're now trading off a bit at 21.92. All of this as September ends and October begins. Eco data today includes mortgage apps, pending home sales expectations of up 1.3% month over month and down 13.8% year over year. Bitcoin and Ethereum are also trying to take root and move higher after being under pressure over the past week. This morning we see Bitcoin up 1% at 42,200. Ethereum's up 2% at 2,900. Right, still trying to hold on to those 40,000 and 3,000 levels for both. The S&P ended the day yesterday at 43.52, and with futures looking higher this morning, we can expect to see investors go on a shopping spree for some of the best names in the country that came under pressure yesterday. And that's going to push the index to test once again the 50-day moving average, which is at 44.43, which is now resistance versus support because we're below it. And now I don't think it's going to pierce it just yet. We remain in that 43.40, 44.50 range, and I still think the path of least resistance is lower in the weeks ahead. And that's going to provide better long-term opportunities for the patient investor. We now have tested the intermediate term trend line support, which is the 100-day moving average, which is at 43.41 twice, right? We've tested it 2 times. We will most likely test it again in what is usually a 3-timer, meaning we test support once again 3 times to see if it holds or if the market will break down. Look, the same goes when you test resistance. It typically tests it 3 times before it goes up and through. Remember, you can always text the word invest to 21,000 to get my digital business card on your cell phone. Feel free to download it, send me off an email or text, give me a call. I'm always happy to engage and talk about markets, planning, thoughts, concerns, ideas, anything you got. You know, you can also follow me on Twitter and TikTok at Kenny Polcari, and you can get me on Instagram at KennyP1961, which you know was my badge number when I was a member of the New York Stock Exchange. So what are we having for dinner tonight? Well, it feels kind of heavy, and this is a great dish. We're gonna have chicken fricassee with onions, mushrooms, and cognac. Makes it a delicious dish. Now, fricassee is just really a catchphrase used to describe the process of a stovetop meal, kind of a stewy type of meal you could call a fricassee. And so this is what we're gonna make tonight. So for this, you're gonna need 3 large white onions, Spanish onions, fresh mushrooms sliced thin, olive oil, salt and pepper, 6 to 8 chicken pieces. I love thighs just because they're dark and juicy and meaty, skin on. You need flour, you need chicken stock, cognac, and Italian parsley. Now, it's easy. This dish is easy to prepare. It's the cooking part that really takes the time, right? It's not difficult, it just takes time. So begin by slicing the onion very thin. Add it to, take a big, heavy bottom pot that's going to be able to accommodate everything. Add some olive oil and cook the onions covered over very low heat. It causes the onions to become creamy and tasty. You should allow between 40 and 45 minutes for this to happen, but make sure the onions are covered. Do not leave it uncovered. Season with salt and pepper. You want to turn them, every 10 minutes I'll go in there and turn them. When they're ready, uncover the pot, turn down the heat, take the onions out and set them aside, right? Don't let them burn. Next, take the sliced mushrooms, add those to the same pot that's got the oil in it, right? Again, over medium-low heat. Cook the mushrooms for 15 or 20 minutes. You want to season with salt and pepper, and then you want to remove those as well. Just put them with the onions. Set them on the side because you're going to use them in a minute. Now, while this is all happening, while the onions and the mushrooms are cooking, you've already washed and patted dry the chicken. You've dredged the chicken in seasoned flour. You want to season the flour with salt and pepper and then dredge the chicken. Now, take that dredged chicken pieces and put them in the same pot. Heat up the olive oil again, right? You want to make the oil nice and hot. You want to brown the chicken. You don't want to overcrowd the pan yet because it'll cool the pan down. So you got to do it in pieces. Cook one side, then cook the other side. You're probably going to cook 6 minutes on each side. You want it to be nice and crusty and brown, right? Now once that's done, you want to take the onions and mushrooms and put them back in. You want to add 2 tablespoons of cognac, a cup of chicken stock, set it to simmer. You want to cover it tightly. This should cook for another 40 minutes. But once you've mixed everything back together, right, after you've cooked the chicken, and it's all nice and brown, you put all the chicken in the pot, like I said, the onions, the mushrooms, the cognac, the chicken stock, mix it all up, and then cover it, put the heat on simmer, listen to me, and let it cook for 40 to 45 minutes. Now, you can go in there every, 10 minutes or so, kind of move it around just to get it all mixed and beautiful, but keep it covered and let it simmer. Simmer is the key because when you keep it covered and it simmers, it's the steam and the heat that's inside the pot that continues to cook the chicken and make it soft that falls off. When you're done, it should really fall off the bone and it really be delicious. You can serve this with a nice big salad and maybe some roasted fingerling potatoes is always good. And you could drink this with your favorite wine. And in this case, a red would work nice. You can drink white if you don't like red or you can't drink red. But I'd use like a Chianti. I'd make it a simple wine. I wouldn't make it a really heavy wine for this dish. You want to keep it kind of simple, so a Chianti or a Pinot Noir is always good. In any event, look, the sun, in the time that I've been talking, the sun has now come out. The day is getting started. The day is young, but until I see you tomorrow, take good care.